Suddenly, the price for Quinn Hughes is probably not too expensive for Tom Fitzgerald. I wonder if he wishes he would have gone back and made the deal now that he is done as Devils GM.
You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, I'm Seth Toupal. He's JD Young, and on today's episode of Locked On NHL, we talk about the shocker over the weekend. Pete DeBoer heading to the New York Islanders to try to get them into playoff mode with just 4 games to go. Talk about showing up 15 minutes before the test starts. We'll also take a look at the best GM openings, both that are actually open and that likely will become open once the season is finished. And we'll talk about another shocker, Tom Fitzgerald out as Devils general manager. Or is it a shock based on a sizable move that was not made this season? Today's episode of Locked On NHL is going to dive into all of those key topics and more. My name is Seth Toupal, joined by JD Young. And JD, Tom Fitzgerald, I think he probably thought this day was coming.
Yeah, probably.
Kind of wonder if he wishes now that he would have just gone all in and grabbed Quinn Hughes.
Probably. I mean, his entire strategy for this season was literally step 1, acquire Quinn Hughes. Step 2, Step 3, profit. That was his entire strategy for the season. And when you can't do the first step and clearly had no backup plan, it definitely it was overdue, to be honest. And especially for a team that's really has underperformed over the last couple seasons here. You know, this is a New Jersey Devils team that a couple of years ago, right? They finally make the playoffs, and it feels like, okay, this is going to be that next great team. You have such a great young nucleus, right? You have Jack Hughes, you have Jesper Bratt, you have another Hughes brother, and Luke Hughes is coming up, is going to be the next great defenseman. Simon Nemec, you get second overall. It feels like, okay, this team is going to be that team, right? And 2022, 2023, they lose in the second round. They, of course, okay, next year it falls apart. They fire Lindy Ruff, right? And then they eventually get Sheldon Keefe to come in. Okay, this is going to be it, right? And then they go third. They lose in the first round that year. And then this was the year they're supposed to start building. And okay, can we start being not just a fringe playoff team, but can we start to be a potential cup contender or dark horse cup contender? And the team just fell apart, man. And it feels like every move he made and every signing and extension was the exact wrong thing to do, right? Because you look at this roster now, it has some contracts that are going to be ugly to try to move. The goaltending is an absolute mess. And you just re-signed both your goaltenders who've both been bad this year to extensions. So you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. And, he didn't do enough to get some more depth on this team and try to create, right? You and I know teams that are good in the playoffs, it's that third line is usually the key, right? Everybody has awesome top 6 players, but it's who can get guys who would normally be second line players on your third line. That's where you usually take advantage. And if you look at that's where they struggled right there, was that bottom 6 depth, guys who are producing and performing way above expectations. And this team, and then of course you add, right, Dougie Hamilton, right? They tried to trade Hamilton. Of course, that didn't work out. You had him and the GM fighting this season. It very much felt like this was overdue.
It feels to me, it's interesting because I kind of feel like I had a similar thought as to Bill Guerin before this season that I think a lot of Devils fans had about Tom Fitzgerald. Is he just got to the point that he was very much I believe that this team can do it. And I am not willing to make big moves to break up some of this roster in order to do so. And all of a sudden, Bill Guerin was in that same kind of vein with the Minnesota Wild, but it turns out we now know that was because he just was so right up against the red as far as the balance sheet goes.
Yeah.
That it was more so I don't know what we're going to do financially. So now that that's gone, he goes and he gets Quinn Hughes. He makes that move almost immediately after the books look a little better. And I just find it funny that, there had been all of this talk throughout the off season about Quinn Hughes wants to go play with his brothers. He wants to go play in New Jersey, wants to go play with them. And it basically it set it up that all Tom Fitzgerald had to do was make it happen. Like he didn't have to do anything other than just do what had been handed to him, what had been ordained to him. And he still couldn't do it. He still could not.
The problem is again, it's because it's like he was stuck in this position because of his contracts, right? That Dougie Hamilton contract, which is, $9 million full, no movement clause here. And I think he's got a 10-team trade list or something like that. Like that was that was the piece. He had to move that piece to be able to afford Hughes, right? And he couldn't get, and Dougie Hamilton has every right to refuse to not be traded. And there was the Sharks specifically were asking about Dougie Hamilton. They needed a right-handed puck-moving defenseman. Hamilton said no. Very much in his right. But yeah, I mean, it's all like you got stuck in your own inability to kind of get out of this here as some of the moves that you had made, right? And you have Jack Hughes who is on literally one of the best contracts in the NHL, right? You have a star player making $8 million until 2030. Like if Jack Hughes was to get asked, being, for running for a new contract right now, that thing's 10, 12 million a season, somewhere in that range. You have a player who's, you do have some players who are on really great contracts, but right, it's just where you spent your other money. Connor Brown, $3 million. Like I said, you have all of your defense is so expensive, and you have no room for your guys like Simon Nemec, and you have no room for for players like Seamus Casey. You don't have room for these because you've locked in some of these big time, these kind of older veteran defensive pieces, and then your defense fell apart this season. So yeah, as bad as it looks though, it's it kind of, I mean, we'll talk about it here in a second, but it's not the worst spot to be in for whoever the next GM is here. There's a lot of stuff to work with here. So, but yeah, I think, I do think Sheldon Keefe also gone after this, right? If you fire the GM, it kind of feels, and Keefe's been here for 2 years, it kind of feels like it's going to be clean sweep here of new coach, new GM, new everything for this franchise that probably needs it.
Isn't it funny how much of the turnover as far as coaches go and general managers go is hindered on good goaltending?
And your goaltending ended up being really bad.
Yeah. Their goaltending was, I think the only spot in which that was not the case was Patrick Waugh getting shown the door. Because Ilya Sorokin leads the universe in shutouts this year.
Yeah. That's because I think he just literally lost the locker room so. But yeah, I mean, it's Tom Fitzgerald, this is if this rebuild, this kind of build of the Devils doesn't go kind of take that next step, this is going to be a very interesting kind of case because you got everything you wanted, right, in a rebuild, right? You had multiple first overall picks, you had a ton of top end players, but right, it's that part's easy. Picking and drafting guys is easy, but how do you build around it? And I think this is going to be a very much potential case study for teams that go through a rebuild.
Yeah, it's just going to be a good, like, people will start paying attention now as to what the Devils do, like, to move this forward, because if they get it right, they could be quickly back in the postseason field. But if they don't, you run the risk of having a few players that are not going to have patience enough to stick through this, and then it becomes a much more involved, much longer process.
Does Jack Hughes want to play with his brother Quinn in Minnesota? Question mark.
Look, if Bill Guerin can get that price talk down even a little bit, I think he pulls the trigger on that this summer.
And you will become the worst person I know.
I'll change my first name to Hughes. I don't even care.
Jack Hughes to Kaprizov with Quinn Hughes on the back. Like
Locked on Wild. I'm Hughes, your host.
Yes, the Hughes eye. Yes,
I'll call myself Huey Hughes.
Ooh, Huey Hughes in the news.
Huey Hughes in the Blues.
Oh. Cam Fowler could never.
He would never.
He would never. Cam Fowler never would.
Why don't we do this? Let's kind of keep with the general manager theme, because there obviously has been a lot of general manager movement so far this year. And so let's, when we come back, let's take a look at some of the most appealing spots as far as open general manager positions go. We will discuss all of that as we continue today's episode of Locked on NHL right after this. Today's episode of Locked on NHL is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are here, where every possession matters, every matchup is magnified, and every game can swing a series. And right now, FanDuel is giving new customers a great way to get in on the action. FanDuel offers you so many different opportunities to cash in big, whether it be a parlay through a couple of games, whether it be a futures bet for the NBA championship, or if you're looking even further than that, they have all sorts of different options for you. My personal favorite is to take a full day's worth of games and just put something down on each of them. That keeps you locked in for the entire day, and it maximizes your opportunity to cash in big. So head to FanDuel.com to get things started. That's FanDuel. Play your game.
Workplace chaos, deadline stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill still sitting open. When the pressure's on, you need the right hire. This is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed, sponsored jobs help you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for. Skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. Here's a great stat that says it all. In the minute I'll be talking to you about Indeed, companies like yours will have made 27 hires using Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing to check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. We need the right person to cut through the chaos. This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just head over to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? It's a job for Indeed sponsored jobs.
Welcome back to today's episode of Locked on NHL. Once again, we thank you for making Locked on NHL your first listen each and every day. Again, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any new episodes throughout the week. We got you covered every day of the week, every Monday through Friday. And I want to draw your attention to the Everydayer Club once again, an enhanced option for you to enhance your Locked on listening experience, whether it be ad-free episodes or the members-only Discord server. The Everydayer Club gives you all sorts of options to turn it into a full encompassing experience beyond just listening to your favorite Locked On show. So check out the show notes for your favorite Locked On shows for more information on the Everydayer Club and the All Access tier, all coming right to you, courtesy of us. All right. So We have Brad Treliving.
He gone.
Tom Fitzgerald is gone.
He gone.
And, I think one that is widely, especially after what happened this weekend.
Well, also Nashville. They're also in the
Nashville.
process of looking for a new GM as they're currently in the transition. So yes, so 3 that we know for sure are open right now. Or Nashville, Toronto, New Jersey. We expect Detroit.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Having had a front row seat to Detroit this weekend, fell behind 4-1 after first shot of the game and a goal, and then all of a sudden you fall behind 4-1.
That's not good when you get gifted that it's almost like you score a pick 6 to start a game and you still end up losing. It's just a horrible feeling.
Then they rally to tie, and then Patrick Kane commits one of the dumbest penalties you will ever see.
Yes.
The Wild immediately score, and you end up losing 5-4.
Mm-hmm.
In a game that you absolutely needed to, as far as the Krispy Kreme, as far as the Cold Stone sizes go, like it, love it, gotta have it.
This is a gotta have it.
It was a gotta have it.
This is a special order. Just give me the whole big drum of ice cream there. I need it all.
It's the full gallon, and we go to I need.
Yes.
But
so those 4, we feel like those 3 for sure. We feel, especially if Detroit continues this, and it's not looking good for Detroit to make the playoffs here. And that's going to be the 3rd year in a row where they had a playoff spot heading into March and are going to now miss the playoffs. Other teams that could be the Canucks. There's been reports that maybe they may want to move on from Alvin, maybe not. That the team is headed straight for tear it to the studs rebuild. And then you do wonder about Edmonton this year if they maybe move on from Trent or if they move on from Stan Bowman there. Those are the other kind of 2 that I think you think long and hard about as potential openings. But I think in Edmonton, as long as if McDavid says Bowman stays, Bowman's going to stay. McDavid has.
Yeah.
I could see Vancouver. If you're going to do a rebuild, you probably want somebody new to do it all. So if I had to guess, I think Bowman stays. And I think Vancouver maybe makes a change there because you need fresh everything in Vancouver as well as Sage to just try to cleanse that whole hockey operations department.
I will just about guarantee you it may not happen during the season unless they get off to a horrendous start. I think Chris Drury is probably...
Oh, I forgot about Drury too, yes.
He's probably the first that will be fired during the season.
I think he could be gone this year too. I know they played well at the end of the season here, but I think that spot's open. I think they're, especially after the letter and everything like that. And so let's add that. Let's add the Rangers. So let's to make it fun. We'll have the 3. We'll have the Devil or the Red Wings, the Canucks, and then the Rangers. So we have 3 for sure. 3. So which of those jobs, if you are GM, superior GM right here, and all these teams come to you, which job do you want the most?
I mean, why do I want to say the Devils?
I'm there with you too. You have great, you have superstar pieces. Yes, you have some work to do to move off some ugly contracts, but GMs are dumb. Every GM, there's going to be a dumb GM that talks themselves into yes, I can fix, X player. This player plays hard, all situations, all plays a full 200-foot game. you can move off some of these bad contracts. We've seen bad contracts get moved off. And yeah, like I'm right there with you. You have a superstar player in Jack Hughes who's entering the prime of his career, and you have you have two young stud defensemen in Luke Hughes and Simon Nemec who are about ready to really start to take off here. Like you have the foundation there, like we talked about earlier. It's trying to find out all the ancillary pieces. So yeah, I'm right there with you. I think that's the best opening that's potentially available.
And here's the thing.
Yeah.
You have a blueprint as to what can happen if you make if you get the goaltending right. Look at what Colorado did last year.
Yep.
Like they had their goaltending was putrid into the season.
Yeah.
And they completely took care of the whole room.
Yep. Yeah. And like I know that Markstrom one, but like even Jake Allen at like 1.8, like if that's your backup, like okay, like Jake Allen,
that's not terrible.
That's not terrible. You have to move off. You have to move off Markstrom, who has a 20-team no trade list. Like you have to move off Markstrom and try to find like if you can solve that. I think that fixes a lot of your problems right there. So number 2, I kind of want to go Detroit as my number 2 because again, you have a bunch. You have a foundation. I feel like though the hard like they don't have the hard thing. They don't have that superstar player, but you have all the assets in the world to go try to acquire a superstar player. And if Toronto decides like, hey man, like this isn't working out for us, we need to move off of Matthews, or Matthews is just like, man, I don't want to go through this. Like they have everything in the world to go acquire a guy like Austin Matthews. And then that everything fits right there, right? You have Austin Matthews that you want to see that like you have Larkin can kind of be the Robin. Like you have plenty of scoring. Like that's the thing they need. They need to go do the Quinn Hughes type of trade where you cash in and you try to make that run because that's what this team needs. And we see like every year, right? I mean, I know Austin Matthews is not known for his ability to, come up in the clutch there, but I do think getting Matthews out of potentially Toronto and somewhere else, and I think he will be beloved in Detroit. Like that's what they need. It's hard to go acquire a superstar, but like I kind of feel like that's the spot.
Yeah, he would be a good fit in Detroit if he was headed there, but he's going to Minnesota. So
with Jack Hughes, yeah, I forgot. That's right. They got rid of the cap for you guys.
Yeah, I'm playing NHL 26, but I turned the cap off and I forced all trades.
Yes. So.
Yeah. And I mean, like for Detroit, feels like you finally got the goaltending situation figured out. John Gibson's been really good this year.
Yeah.
So they're not
that
far off.
Stud goaltending, like you have 2 stud goalies who are going to be coming up here soon. So as Gibson kind of starts to dip, like you have guys who should be able to take his place here. So
yeah, they've got options. I think that's a really appealing one. And the other part of this is as far as fan bases go, Detroit's second to none. Like Detroit, if you get them back on track, those fans will adore you.
I mean, look at the Sabres fans right now. Like it's 9 years, gonna be 10 years now for the Red Wings, which is like inconceivable to think about growing up as like where the Red Wings were just like good every year, right? It's almost inconceivable that it's been this long. Yeah, if you get the Red Wings to the playoffs, yeah, like you're gonna be very good. My number 3, this one might be give me the Canucks job. For someone who's just experienced a rebuild, like as a team that's exiting the rebuild right now, like you have picks, you have prospects, you have no expectations, right? Like you're like nobody's expecting anything from the Canucks for the next 4 or 5 seasons, right? And I think you have a fan base who wants to actively rebuild. So like, give me that, because like this isn't like Toronto where there's expectations to turn this thing around right now, or like like the same thing with the Rangers. Like there's expectations to turn this thing around. I think the Canucks job is a very nice job. Yes, you got to figure out what Elias Pettersson and what to do with that, but this is a team that's already started to set itself up for a bright future. So give me the Canucks job. That's my third. If I'm GM, awesome GM candidate, give me the Canucks job.
Yeah, I think that's a good third. I'll put it third over those behind those other two.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's still like it's an appealing job, and you get a couple of guys back on track to where they previously were. You never know.
You never know. Who's 4 for you? Is it Nashville? Or would you rather have like one of the high profile jobs in Toronto or the Rangers?
See, I feel like Toronto and New York have some digging that they have to do before they are going to be appealing spots.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I want to do that unless I'm a first time GM. Like if that's my first job and you have to kind of remodel the house a little bit, sure, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
But if I'm an established GM that's looking to get back into the league, I don't know if I want it to be trying to fix the Maple Leafs or the Rangers, because there's gonna have to be a little bit of a teardown for both.
Yeah. Like the Preds here, like they kind of tore down a little bit. They're on the precipice of making the playoffs this year, right? And maybe you can talk yourself into it a little bit of like, okay, this team's kind of turn the corner here and stuff. And you still have some assets where if you do want to maybe be aggressive or something like that, right? But I don't know, like this Nashville feels like it's going to be such a creamy middle team where it's just like they're going to be fighting to make the playoffs every year, but they're never going to kind of do anything with it. So yeah, I don't know, like that bothers me as like because I would like rather have a direction, right? And some people are fine, like, hey, making the playoffs is a big thing, but like I'd rather have a direction of the franchise. Like if you're not actively one of the best teams, like trying to be a cup, like how do you get there? And I don't know if Nashville has a clear path to be one of those best teams in the NHL in the next couple seasons.
No, they do not.
Yeah.
But who does? The New York Islanders, because they found their guy. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Mm-hmm.
Pete DeBoer, a New York Islander with 4 games left to play in the regular season. We'll discuss how this is going to work and if it's going to be enough to propel the Islanders. That's all coming up as we finish today's episode of Locked On NHL after this.
Spring is a natural reset point, and if there's one thing that can quietly cost businesses money, it's messy communication. Missed calls, scattered texts, no clear thread of who said what. That's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Quo, the smarter way to run your business communications. Quo is the #1 rated business phone system on G2 with over 3,000 reviews. Trusted by more than 90,000 businesses, it lets your entire team share one business number so you never miss a call, text, or opportunity. Great thing about it is everything lives in one clean thread, calls, texts, and voicemails. The whole team can see the conversation, so nothing falls through the cracks. And you get AI summarizations that save serious time by logging calls and highlighting the next steps automatically. It makes your business feel more organized and responsive. So make this a season where no opportunity and, more importantly, no customer slips away. Try Quo for free and get 20% off your first 6 months at quo.com/lockedonnhl. That's quo.com/lockedonnhl. Quo. No missed calls, no missed customers.
Final segment of today's episode of Locked On NHL. Once again, we thank you for making Locked On NHL your first listen each and every day. Make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any new episodes throughout the week. So, Pete DeBoer, head coach of the New York Islanders.
Weird.
Yeah. The fit is weird because I think I just know him as a Dallas Stars head coach.
Sharks legend head coach right there.
Will he get into it and create some sort of an irreparable situation with Ilya Sorokin before the regular season ends?
There's part of me that says yes when they just start him for the final 4 games straight. I don't care. I don't know what their schedule looks like. But part of me says yes. Part of me is like, I'll give it till Thanksgiving. And so before, yeah. I mean, I liked how they positioned it as we got the best free agent on the market before free agency started. So another nail in free agency, Seth. What are we going to do this year? No free agency. Pete DeBoer snagged him up. Yeah, it's just interesting, right? Where we've seen over the last 2 weeks now, we have 2 GM firings that you and I have talked about. We've seen two coaches who've also been fired and been replaced here. And I don't know if the Isles are going to make it. I think it's too short of a runway here, right? And especially with how like the Flyers have been playing and such, like I don't know if they're going to be able to make it in here, and especially since they only have 4 games left. But this is probably one of those things where it's probably a move for the future, and you're just kind of getting him in the building now, and then that way this offseason you have like a true plan. You can do free agency where you just try to get all the veterans, because that's what Pete DeBoer likes, is every veteran possible, and then try to go at it next year. So I don't know, man. It's like it's so frustrating because the Islanders had like all this good vibes this year, right? They were the team that was like overperforming expectations. I think most of us expect this to be a lottery team, right? You have Matthew Schaefer, who looks like a genuine superstar from day one. And then now it just kind of feels like back to the same old Islanders again. So yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
They had a stretch where they went 12-5, and 3 of those losses, actually most of the wins were in overtime, but they had a stretch where they went 12-5, and then all of a sudden now they have 3 wins since March 19th. Yes. And they do close with 4 straight games at home against Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal, Carolina. So that is pretty daunting in and of itself. But yeah, I like this being a let's just get our guy before everybody else starts looking at him. And this is always like Matthew Darche coming in as the general manager.
Let's get his guy.
Yeah. He was pretty clear that he didn't think that Patrick Waugh lost the room or anything like that.
Wink.
Just that
we all saw the video of him yelling at everybody, and every player just kind of has that like looking around like, oh, I hope he doesn't call on me face, type of thing. So
but he said he didn't lose the room, but he felt like it was time for a new voice to get us back to where we want to be playing. And it's like in their last 38 games, they're 20-17-1. So they've been just over 500 since January 1st.
Yeah.
So this is not a new problem. It was obviously compounded by losing 4 straight, but you go to even from February 1st to now, and the New York Islanders are 12-11. So there just have been some warning signs of a team that is starting to kind of lose their grip. They were in a playoff spot for quite a while, and now all of a sudden they're on the outside looking in. They're 8-10 since March 1st. Every way you slice it, it has not been great.
Yeah, you do wonder if like this is one of those things where Darche is maybe rushing things a little bit. Again, like you had some young players who were, looking good here, and then all of a sudden at the trade deadline, right, you're getting guys like Braden Shen and like adding like some of these older guys back into the mix here, and it's just like, what's this team supposed to be? Right. And especially because, you do have exciting prospects, right? You have Victor Eklund, who's, already in the AHL and is looking good in his brief time in the AHL and stuff, and might even make his NHL debut here. They've already mentioned, but like where that way Pete DeBoer can just sit him, he can play 2 shifts and get sat. So, but yeah, it's what's the direction of this team, and what is Lou Lamoriello, is he secretly still running the team? That's my question. Did he kidnap Matthew Darche, and is he secretly running the team now? Because it feels like you yes, you took a little step back, but to try to, have a brighter future, and you're just kind of doing the same thing that this Islanders team has been doing for the past forever at this point. So
Playoffs are
not great.
bust.
It's all playoffs. Yeah, like GMs and teams are so like playoffs are bust, and it's like you're not setting yourself up to be successful long term, right? That's sustained success
That everybody strives for.
That's what you strive for. That's why your Colorados and your Lightnings and teams like that, right? That's sustained success. There's a reason why. So,
best of luck to Ilya Sorokin for his new head coach.
R.I.P.
Yeah,
Thoughts and prayers.
We'll look back on this day and wonder this was just the beginning of the end.
Does he get the sword? I'm trying to what do they? Is it a lighthouse to the back? Like what do they? Photoshop there?
It's going to be the fancy top of the lighthouse, or it's going to be the whatever they call the steering wheel of the ship.
That's in there, yeah. Just the whole steering wheel.
Whatever that thing is, it's just that directly to the back is how this is going to go down.
Can't wait.
Yeah. That's going to do it for today's episode. Appreciate everybody tuning in as always. For more on Pete DeBoer, for more on Tom Fitzgerald's firing, and for more on plenty of other news, make sure to check out your local Locked On shows, in particular Locked On Islanders and Locked On Devils, to get more intel on both of those situations as the week unfolds. And make sure to keep it right here to Locked On NHL as we guide you through the biggest stories of the week and Locked On NHL game night as well. Playoffs are just about here, so make sure that you get your listing rotation in so you don't miss any big stories here in the National Hockey League. We've got you covered every Monday through Friday as part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day.